Wickham to Whitley Bay, Stonygate to Shields, Doggy to Darlow Backlane, Steve, Ted and Rye. The North East Footy Breakfast.
Right across the North East, the Red, the Toon and the Cat.
And just because I act like playground monitor every single morning, Monday to Friday, because of the egos we've now created on this show, guys. Did you hear that one, Steve? You led that one, but just before we get complaints winging in from Canberra and Cyprus.
From Yarm to Yibby, Harrington to Horsley Hill, Swalwell to Silverlink. The North East Footy Breakfast with Roy, Steve and Ted.
Right across the North
Why am I lost?
East,
I don't know if I like that.
the Red, the Toon
Oh,
and
dear
the
doctor.
Cat.
And just one more to come.
Ted, Roy and Steve.
Ted
the
is
North East
first.
Footy Breakfast.
All right,
Right
okay.
across the North East, the Red, the Cat and the Toon.
Right, now I hope
Was I
I've
not last twice? I mean, that equals second. You know what I mean? Nobody remembers who finished second.
Doctor. So hopefully
Oh, my
the
goodness.
sniping and the please
Right.
can I be first requests have all come to an end and we can get on and talk about football. Oh my goodness, boys, how are you this morning?
Morning.
All good.
Good morning,
All
happy
good.
Oh,
Thursday,
champion, mate,
everybody.
champion.
Brilliant. Oh, dear doctor. And if you are waking up across the northeast, it's getting light. Daylight is approaching. Can I be really boring and sound like Patrick Moore? Good evening. And just invite you to go outside, freeze your bits off. But have a look up to the sky. You'll see a beautiful conjunction of the moon and Venus across the northeast. So nip outside and have a quick look. Right.
And Rye, what can you see out of your window?
I can see rain and dark clouds and
Get in.
You've got rain in Australia.
I do.
Get in.
It is terrible today
Get
here.
in.
It's absolutely
Brilliant.
disgusting. So yep,
And-
we are
Ted, what about
in
you?
for a rough day.
Ted,
You
what's
don't want to
outside your
know what's
window
outside
today?
my window. Outside my window today, I have a large truck, which is to clean out a septic tank,
Yes.
such as the plumbing in Cyprus. So it's much like some of the hosts of this show. It's a bit full of the brown stuff, but I'm sure it'll be gone in due course.
And outside of my window is an ambulance taking another Newcastle United player away to A&E. So all in all, it's a great start. It's a great start to this Thursday morning.
Oh, love it.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, dear doctor.
Oh, what
I think I need to lie
Thursday
down.
to begin with, eh?
Oh, I think I need to lie down. Anyway, over to you, fellas. You can lead.
We've got to say, we're thinking of George Courtney's family this morning. One of our greatest referees, I would say, Dave, in time.
George?
Is it George? Was it George Graham Courtney? Was it?
You've got me on that one because Ted.
Have we not just lost a referee?
George
that somebody
Tyson.
said-
George Tyson.
George
that's
Tyson.
right.
Tyson.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
you threw me for a minute there, Steve. You threw me.
George Tyson, that's right. Yeah, well, to be honest, I was asleep in bed at 5 o'clock this morning when the WhatsApp messages all started coming
I
in.
know. I warned him. I warned
Yeah,
him.
I did notice you'd said that. But yeah, so George Tyson. So
George
that's another
Tyson.
one of our referees.
Yeah.
One of our great referees has gone to
Absolutely,
the
yeah.
the football pitch in the sky. But our thoughts with his family.
Of
I mean,
course.
did you come across him, Dave?
I did. I got to know George not very well because he was Wearside based, and obviously I was Teesside based. But George, yeah, he was held in high esteem through all North East refereeing circles, and our thoughts and our prayers go with his family and friends without a shadow of a doubt. I didn't even know he was ill, which was disappointing. To wake up this morning and find out we'd lost him. So, our thoughts and our prayers towards George's family.
Yeah, big thoughts to him.
Big shout out, George.
Yeah.
Just on that note
Who's
as well.
leading the show this morning then?
Yeah, I am.
I believe it might be the loudmouth.
I will be taking the Australian reins and getting to see if Ted will work his way back onto the Christmas card. But don't hold your breath, ladies and gentlemen. Don't hold your breath.
Wait till the
He has
headlines.
woken up Steve early with the WhatsApp. He still said I'm not his favourite Australian, so he's not off to the best start, ladies and gentlemen. But let's kick it off with some news headlines let's go to the club headlines from around the clubs of the North East.
Oh, and I'm going to get complaints here. I'm going to get complaints because one of our assembled throng asked me to do something and I haven't done it yet. So here we go.
Oh, no.
Mackems and Proud. Black Cats News.
Our Sunderland fans, a handful of Sunderland players have been called up by their countries for the upcoming international break. Trey Hume and Dan Ballard have been named in Northern Ireland's senior squad for European qualifying matches against Finland and Denmark. However, Michael O'Neill's side are already unable to qualify for next summer's tournament in Germany. Niall Huggins has also earned his first senior call-up for Wales national team ahead of their important qualifying matches against Armenia and Turkey. While this station's fourth favourite Australian, Nectarius Triantis, is part of Australia's under-23 squad for two friendly fixtures against Saudi Arabia and Qatar. Obviously, the other favourite Australians include Paul Hogan, Kylie Minogue and Skippy. After being named in Ukraine's squad during last month's international break, Sunderland striker Nazri Rusin is on the standby list ahead of his country's decisive European qualifying match against Italy. Staying with those international call-ups, Rob Page has explained why he's called up Sunderland's Niall Huggins to the Wales senior squad. Speaking in his press conference, the national team manager heaped praise on Huggins following his first international call-up. Page said, "He's athletic, he's playing with a young team, I like how they play, full of energy, he can play both sides for us. How we play, I think he suits us. He fits in how we want to play really well." Huggins only had 4 under-21 caps to his name and failed to make an appearance for Wales youth side since joining Sunderland, having spent most of his first 2 years at the club in the treatment room. Defender had only managed 8 appearances for the Black Cats since arriving on Weir's side in 2021. However, things have looked much better for him this season. And finally, Sunderland AFC under-18s are back on the road this week with a short trip to Tyneside for the Tyne and Weir derby on Saturday morning. That's 11 a.m. kick-off at Little Benton Academy. The lads are looking to make it back-to-back wins after the home victory against Wolves. The young Magpies, of course, are currently led by Graham Carrick, brother of Michael Carrick, manager of Championship relegation candidates Middlesbrough. The two sides last faced each other back in March, where the Black Cats ran out 7-2 victors at the Little Benton Academy. How are the young lads? Let's build another 6-in-a-row legacy. And them's your headlines.
Smoggies and Proud. Borough News.
Good news, Middlesbrough head coach Michael Carrick has been nominated for the October Championship Manager of the Month Award. Hey, don't see a mogger in this list either, which is wild. Carrick is competing with Leicester City's Enzo Maresca, Southampton's Russell Martin and Ipswich Town's Kieran McKenna for the prize, with Enzo Maresca probably the likely favourite, but it's still a positive sign to see the turnaround Carrick has done at Borough. And EFL pundit Adrian Clark worries that Middlesbrough are too weak and fragile to make the playoffs this season, with their defending a cause for concern. The former Arsenal Academy graduate watched Borough's 3-3 draw with Plymouth Argyle at the weekend as early season defensive woes came to the fore again in a frustrating away draw. Borough have now conceded 23 goals in 15 league games, something that we need to sharpen up on. He said, "I think in this game, Vandenberg struggled a bit at right back. At the bottom line is they've conceded the same number of goals as Sheffield Wednesday, who are having a stinker of a season at the bottom of the championship. Unless that gets fixed, Borough won't be in the playoff race this time around, so they've got a little bit of work to do come January." And finally, it's that time of the year that the under-12s from the Borough Academy take part in the initiative called the Christmas Truce Project, as they learn about how the positivity of football can unite people. The under-12s have until the 14th of December to complete their Christmas Truce Project, which will be judged by the staff from the Premier League. If they are successful, they will travel to Belgium to take part in an educational weekend looking at the original trenches and learning about the different battles around Belgium, as well as playing in a football tournament with other clubs from England and around Europe. To find out more about what the under-12s will be working on and to find out how you can help support it, head to mfc.co.uk. From your favourite Australian, that is your Borough headlines.
Magpies and Proud. Mags News.
Tickets for our Champions League group stage match at Paris Saint-Germain will go on sale on Thursday the 9th of November. Today, of course, the Magpies take on the League One champions at Parc des Princes on Tuesday the 28th of November, and sales will be open to season ticket holders with 165 away points at 10 a.m. today. Good luck. The Toons allocation is currently below the 5% allocation. The club is entitled to as per the UEFA competition regulations. The club have challenged this with PSG and in turn escalated it with UEFA in September, but they're still awaiting a response to the particular challenge. Kieran Trippier is refusing to give up on Newcastle's Champions League dream after the defeat in Dortmund left them with a mountain to climb. The 33-year-old, who has swiftly turned his attention to Saturday's trip to Bournemouth, said, "When I was at Tottenham we had Barcelona and Inter Milan in our group and everyone said it was done, but never say never. We got to the final that year, so it is a never say die attitude from us. We can't control what happens, we just have to focus on Bournemouth and forget this." And Matt Targett insists he's determined to come back better than ever after the Newcastle United defender underwent surgery for a hamstring injury. The left back was forced off after only a minute of the recent Carabao Cup victory at Manchester United, adding to Eddie Howe's growing casualty list. He posted an update on his social media yesterday to give an update to fans, and that is your Newcastle United news this Thursday morning.
Ted, Rye and Steve, the North East Footy Breakfast.
Right across the North East, the red, the cat and the tune.
Right, Ted's completely off the Christmas card list. There's no way he's coming back now. Those news headlines were abysmal. It was attack after attack after attack. I am furious. I am furious.
What? Apparently it's going down rather well in Farringdon and Hendon, though.
Think about poor me, who's got to turn them round for the 3 radio stations to play out for the rest of the day. It's going to be mega confusing.
I'll do a proper one. I'll do a proper one, Radio Dad, in the next one. I promise you. Right? No joking around in the next one.
Righto, lads,
continue to
the
joke.
Rye Show. It is the Rye Show today, and I have come up with the. I've taken the reins. Your favourite Aussie is in control, and don't you worry, we're going to run a sharp show. Geez, I'm lucky I got that out correctly, aren't I? Otherwise, we would have been off to a bad start. But to start it off with, I thought we'd have a bit of fun, lads. It's all been a bit too serious with your Ted and Steves, and they're all just a little, you need a little bit of fun in the morning for your 7 a.m. getting your coffee. So I've come up with another game that you can get in. You can get in and get involved with if you are listening on the airways and you're up bright and early, bushy tail, listening to us. Get in on the WhatsApp number 0330 043 2002. That again is 0330 043 2002. You can get involved with Who Am I? That's right, Rise Who Am I is back. Are you ready for the jingle? It's Who Am I with Rye. Ted's off the Christmas card list. Who am I from your favourite Australian? Ted smells bad. Woo! Well, that was a good one. I just made that up on the spot, that one.
You all right?
So your first Who Am I? Your first Who Am I for this morning.
Yeah, the way it sounded really well planned to us, right?
Just brought that one out, didn't I? What an absolute banger that was. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listen closely, please.
Sorry, I'm just trying
to the Who Am I? I only assisted once in my Premier League career. However, it was the most important assist of that season.
Groundsman.
I am a journeyman known for my trouble-making antics. That is your first set of clues to the Who Am I? I will read it out again. Write it down if you've got a pen. All right, get your cat to repeat it if you're Ted. I only assisted once in my Premier League career. However, it was the most important assist of that season. I am a journeyman known for my trouble-making antics. More to come if nobody solves that. Remember to get in the WhatsApp. We will ask the lads as well if they've got any ideas, but they won't because my Who Am I's are just so tough these days that they just go over these boys' heads. So we will get in there. But if you've got any idea, get in on the WhatsApp. And if we solve it quickly, we got a few more to come. Don't you worry about that. Lads, let's get into football, shall we? We've done the headlines. We should talk about the football. We've had a few results overnight. And Man United have lost again. Are we shocked anymore? I don't know if we're shocked anymore. I don't know if we just sort of come to accept that Man United aren't the Man United we used to be. But they've gone down 4-3 to Copenhagen. Can you believe it, lads, as well? They were actually up as well, were Man United. Holgen putting them up in the 3rd minute and then again in the 28th minute, leading 2-0. And then, obviously, we saw Rashford getting red carded in the 42nd minute, which then turned the game on its head. Copenhagen coming back in the with a penalty and a first half goal, 2 goals there to bring it half-time level at 2-2. And then Lareja and Barjek and the 87th minute, bringing it Copenhagen 4, Man United 3. Lads, the only good result for an English team in the Champions League now last night was Arsenal 2-0 over Sevilla. Man United all at sea, Rashford red card. Ted, are Man United completely and utterly gone? Does Ryan need to fly over and take the job off Ten Hag?
I don't think you do any worse, to be honest. It's I heard that the Stereophonics are playing at Old Trafford in December, and to be honest, I'm going to stick a fiver on them to win. They are gone, mate, and I mean, you know, Newcastle went down there and gave a really good performance in the Cup, knocked them out 3-0. But I'm looking at that squad, and that's not a Man United squad. And, you know, Steve, you remember the team that obviously, I mean, the Geordies beat them 5-0 at home in one of those occasions, but by and large, Manchester United ran the roost over everybody in the land at one point. And you used to look forward to seeing the legends playing for them that they had at the time. You wanted to see them, but you also feared it as well, because you could be on the end of a real tonkin even at home. And there's just nobody there. There's no characters like that in the club. There's nobody where they're pulling that shirt and it really means something to them now. You know, even the likes of sort of Kanchelskis, the Lee Sharps, yeah, they were like they were bit part players almost at times, but they were Man United players. They had that pedigree about them, and you look at that squad now, and it's just abysmal. It's absolutely abysmal. Bar the young lad up front, who I think has got a future, but he should not be the main man at this time. He should be playing alongside an Andy Cole, a Dwight York, a Teddy Sheringham sort of figure, a Ruud van Nistelrooy, somebody with stature and a bit of gravitas about them. The Man United squad now is just, it's a joke. It's an absolute joke. That Hannibal, honestly, you'd be far better off getting Hannibal out the A-team to play in midfield.
Steve, are Man United completely gone? Are they? I mean, have they got any hope of turning their season around at all? And how long has Ten Hag got, honestly?
I mean, I thought the biggest crisis this week was going to be Sancho being omitted from the WhatsApp group. I mean, this is how ridiculous Manchester United is now. We're focusing on this club for all the wrong reasons. And last night was just another bad result for the football team, which is what it's ultimately all about. Rashford not having the best of months, to be fair, as he dropped from the squad. They said it was an injury, but I still think it was something to do with the punishment for going out and partying after the Manchester City 3-0 defeat in the derby. He comes back, he's fit, he's put straight back in the team, and ultimately, how does that make some of the other team members feel? How does it make Sancho feel when you think that Sancho's fell out with the manager? He can't get in there. He can't train with the team. He's not involved. He's treated him one particular way, and then Rashford's gone out. Had a party after a big defeat. Shouldn't really been out and about, or at least making it public that he was out and about. And he's punished for one game and brought straight back in. It's double standards maybe from Ten Hag. That dressing room must be up a height. We've had Scott McTominay couldn't get a game. He's carrying the water bottles and cutting the oranges at half time. And now suddenly he's getting a game and Ten Hag's he's speaking up for him. Harry Maguire couldn't get a game for Manchester United. And, he's virtually never present these days. It's becoming a laughingstock. The club. You've got a stadium with more holes in it than their back four. Leaks coming through the roof every time it rains. The supporters protesting every 5 minutes. I mean, it's almost like Newcastle and Manchester United have swapped places. Add to that the fact that they're taking out loans every 5 minutes to keep the club going, and still talking about spending big money in transfer windows. It beggars belief, and it always makes me laugh that the Premier League in particular objecting so hard to Newcastle's takeover when there's so many people in Premier League clubs in this country already who need examining. I've said what there should be. I mean, they're talking about bringing an ombudsman in for the game. The King's speech announcing that that there's going to be an ombudsman comes in and somebody to look over our beautiful game, if you like. Well, I think maybe there should
I'll do it.
Almost like an audit, Dave. There should be like an audit. There should be an audit that comes in and just says, right, everyone's on a level playing field here. Forget about who owns your club. Let's have a complete audit of what's going on at every single Premier League club. I tell you what, there would be a few people dodging out that back door as quick as they could.
Yeah.
There would be, yeah. There's so many unscrupulous people involved in football that there would be a few changes at board level, believe you me. And I just think we do need to get our house in order. But Manchester United, yeah, they're not what they were, under Alex Ferguson. He got out at the right time. I almost have a feeling that he almost foresaw what was coming. And he didn't want his legacy destroyed by what was going on. He wasn't winning everything. He wasn't the all conquering Alex Ferguson that we saw over that 20-year period. He saw his noisy neighbours getting noisier and noisier. He saw the money that was coming in. He almost made that kind of decision that Sir John Hall did at Newcastle, where as soon as he saw Roman Abramovich come in at Chelsea, he thought, well, we can't compete with this, I'm out. And I think Fergie did the same at Manchester United. He just got out at the right time. He's protected himself, protected his legacy, and from his perspective, he'll be over the moon that his reputation's intact, but he'll not be happy with what's going on at Manchester United. And I do feel as well it's got a very a Ghost of Christmas Past feeling every time you see Ferguson at that ground, because any manager that comes in is always going to have him overlooking what he's doing. And I noticed Ten Hag's had that dreaded vote of confidence from the board, but he's also had a dreaded vote of confidence from Fergie. And I just think things are going to go from bad to worse at Manchester United. I think it's on a downward spiral at a time when teams such as Newcastle, Aston Villa, Brighton are all on the up, and they don't look like they're going to stop. Those teams look as if they're going to be there or thereabouts. Add to that Spurs, who certainly have had a great start to the season. Manchester City, who aren't going anywhere. They're not going to stop. Their momentum going. You've got Liverpool, who don't have the problems of the the Champions League, etc. this season, but they've got their mojo back. They've got a new midfield which is playing well. There's so many teams now, and don't forget Chelsea. I mean, Chelsea, yes, not doing well, probably down there on performance level with Manchester United to win it. But if they get themselves together and they can get, and if Pochettino can get them playing, Chelsea's going to be back up there again. So Manchester United have got a lot of problems, and I think that they'll be very concerned about how the Premier League's developing. And it's no surprise to see the Premier League getting ready to vote on potentially not allowing loan players from clubs that you're connected with. Is that another shot across the board at Newcastle? Maybe. But I just think Manchester United have fallen so far from grace that they've got a hell of a long way to get back to where they once were.
Dave, can I ask you just on that point?
Sorry, mate.
You go, Ted.
No, I was going to say that you only need to look at their transfer policy. So, I mean, you look at it, maybe it's 2 seasons ago, Borussia Dortmund had Haaland, they had Jude Bellingham, and they had Jadon Sancho. And out of that 3, Manchester United, in their infinite wisdom, thought that Jadon Sancho was the one to sign out of that.
I know, right?
That just tells you all you need to know. I'm not like sort of having a go at Jadon Sancho, but compared to the other 2, he's like, he's the council house version of them, isn't he? Let's be honest.
Yeah,
They just don't have that pull in the transfer market that they used to do. They're spending an awful lot of money on people who just aren't up to the task.
It's incredible to see. And Jayden, I know you're a big listener of the show. I can give you Ted's details if you want to get in touch with him. I know you're a big social media fan. Dave, can I just ask as well, because I want to bring up the point there with what Steve was saying about obviously any manager that comes in for Man United is obviously going to be compared to Sir Alex Ferguson. Now, on the flip side of that, we would probably say the same for Arsenal with Arsene Wenger there, and obviously the amount of times he spent there, always went toe-to-toe with Sir Alex, was there for around at the same time. Mm-hmm. But they seem to be doing a lot better with Mikel Arteta and a lot more stable than Man United. So how come Arsenal and Arteta aren't getting compared to, haven't got that, that weight over him from the Arsene Wenger days like Ten Hag and co have from Sir Alex?
And the easy answer is rank bad management at Manchester United. That's the easy answer. Mm-hmm. Both of them were absolute icons and gods at respective clubs. I just think Manchester United have hired badly since Ferguson, where Arsenal haven't hired that badly. So now United, it's a case of who can come in and take us back to the Fergie days, rather than, in the Arsenal scenario, I think it's just a case of who can come in and continue a decent job. I just think United have failed much more miserably. They've fallen much higher and further from where they were under Fergie than where Arsenal are in comparison to where they were with Wenger. So I just think it's, more focus on United, bigger brands, performed worse since Fergie retired. So much more difficult job. But I don't think anybody's going to look at the United job and think, I'm not going to go there because, I think anybody would want to go to United, A, because of the size of the club, B, because of its history, but C, what if they became that first manager after Fergie to bring success? I mean, that's huge. That would be absolutely massive. So that's my view. That's my view on the two in comparison.
I mean, surely if they wanted someone to take over from Sir Alex, there would be a young lad called Darren Ferguson, a.k.a. his son, who is currently the boss of Peterborough United. He's having a love-hate relationship there. I think he's in his fourth stint at League One club Peterborough United. Why can't Man United just go and get Darren then? And and just get his dad to take the reins. They
do say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, but in that particular case, I think the tree's on top of Mount Everest, so it's rolled quite some distance away. To try and compare the two in terms of managerial quality is like comparing. No, I won't go there. That's insulting. I'll leave it there. I'm going to get myself into trouble.
Well, the result does leave Man United rooted to the bottom of Group A. Bayern Munich are clear and away on that now. Obviously, already going through now on 12 points. But the battle for that second spot now between Copenhagen, Galatasaray and Man United is going to be an interesting one. But Man United looking likely that they're not going to be the ones to progress into the Champions League. And you know what? At the moment, with the way Man United are going, it's probably not the worst thing to fall out of the Champions League, maybe get a bit of focus back on the league and just get their club in order, because what a mess it's turning out to be. And it's really the undoing of a great club that we used to, is known around the world. And, wherever you go, as I said, when I walk around here in Australia in a borough top, everyone asks me, Man United, how good are they, sort of thing. So, and I just get to say, well, they suck. So Middlesbrough are better.
A bit like Ted's truck, his septic tank truck.
Exactly.
They suck pretty well.
They do.
Do you want an update? It's gone. It's been filled up and it's gone. So it's.
So you're all right for a few weeks then, mate. You can party.
Start refilling it. Yes. I'll get on the old Greek kebabs again. We're fine.
There's one question.
We're closing in on the weekend.
Well, hang on, guys. There's one question from that game last night. We jokingly said, "What about AI VAR on yesterday's show?" But is VAR now refereeing games? Because there were huge calls in that game that VAR got involved in. Some they should have got involved in but didn't. I mean, is it really VAR now dominating games and the officiating of games?
I think
every
they're trying
game
to push
that
the
we're
agenda.
seeing. Yeah, exactly. And you know what it is? It's selling papers, isn't it? It's selling headlines. If you're a reporter and you put VAR in the title for whatever reason, people are picking up because it's literally it's the talk. It's what everyone wants to talk about. It's what everyone wants to belittle. It's what everyone wants to smash, isn't it? So at the moment, if you put VAR in your news headline, then everyone's picking it up and having a read, aren't they? And jumping on this I hate VAR bandwagon, because the headlines as I woke up here in Australia too were VAR is out of control in Man United's Copenhagen defeat. VAR is completely and utterly destroyed the game of football in Man United. It's
Can
literally,
you save those headlines
these
for
are the
me?
headlines.
Do us a screenshot for those headlines. We'll use them on the Christmas single.
Yeah, I love it. So VAR out of control in Man United's Copenhagen defeat. I mean, is it out of control, Steve?
It's just a mess. VAR. It's nearly as big a mess as Manchester United. It's just becoming a farce, and like I keep saying, you can't stop it halfway through a season. So the only way we can address this is by making improvements as we go along this season. It's a level playing field for everybody, and then by the time we get to the end of the season, make a decision as to what we're going to do. But it's just out of control. It's not a great system, and the people involved running it clearly, up against it, haven't got a clue. Everyone seems to be ultra cautious now and taking even more time making decisions, since the ludicrous situation that we had earlier in the season. And, a VAR decision which probably only took a minute maximum now is taking 2-3 minutes, and that's the reason, because we've had a moment of controversy where somebody's admitted that they're doing their mate a favour, and now we're extending VAR to 3, 4, 5 minutes. It's becoming even more farcical than it was, because people are afraid to make a mistake. And the situation that developed at the game last weekend, Newcastle against Arsenal, just shows you that technology doesn't always pick things up, and the way that the laws are worded also gives the officials a get out clause, if you like, because in all intents and purposes the ball on the line looked out, but from a different angle it didn't, and because it's not 100% accurate, then you've got to go with a goal, so it loads of things which are starting to become even more of an issue with VAR now, and that's the reason why. But yeah, it's knackered. It really is. At the moment, it's a waste of time having it, because it's just causing so many errors, so many mistakes. I'd rather go back to the good old days where there's human error, a referee makes a mistake, but it all balances out over the course of a season.
Yeah, you mentioned that you were talking like a lot of people do about is it good for the game technically in terms of getting decisions accurate. I would expand that and say, is it good for the game from an entertainment perspective?
Yeah,
absolutely not.
No. Yeah, completely agree. When you're waiting 15 minutes for the answer of a certain goal, when you've had all this build up and momentum, and you're seeing players now cooling down, waiting for a VAR assault and getting injured, it really is becoming more detrimental to the game, isn't it? And it's becoming
dominating the game now. It's taken over the game.
Other leagues are laughing at the Premier League because of the VAR. We had American talk show hosts talking about it the other night. Jimmy Fallon was making fun of it. And he's and
he's American. No idea. He hasn't got a clue.
They got no idea about English football, but they're all laughing. VAR has become that farcical that he's making. They're doing jokes about it on USA late night shows. It's ridiculous. So,
Manchester did get the Marcus Rashford decision correct.
Well, I mean, that was clumsy by him, wasn't it? Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, that was he's got no argument there. That was oh my goodness, clumsy. If you hadn't seen it, then yeah, obviously he's got a lot of questions to answer. Does Rashford? He's had, and like Steve said, he's not had the best month, has he? And he's into the team, he's out of the team. He seems to be one of those players that is now becoming a little bit too big for his boots, if you would. I don't know. It just seems to be a bit of an attitude, but they seem to be all having a bit of attitude issues there. But yeah, if you hadn't seen it, he misplanted his foot, which was clumsy. Honestly, it was just clumsy, and he found the ankle.
He misplanted his foot into the shin of an opponent.
Yeah, exactly.
Was it a red card? Was it a red card?
All day, all day long.
I reckon.
But it's another one of them where a replay makes it look far worse than what it was. I don't think it was clumsy. Don't get us wrong, it was like sort of,
clumsy.
If me and you made that was a centre back.
He could have snapped the guy's lower leg.
Nah, I don't think you had the intention to do that, though.
Absolutely not.
Intent does not come.
It was a striker's tackle.
Hey, guys, take your amateur playing boots off. Intent does not come into the laws of the game. It's your action on the field, It's
you referees.
Are you causing harm to an opponent? Could you potentially cause harm to an opponent? That challenge, I know he wouldn't have intended it, but he stepped on the shin of an opponent. Could have easily broke his ankle. Could have snapped his lower leg if he'd have put more weight on it. That was a red card. All day long.
Typical centre forwards challenge, basically.
Exactly that.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
but sorry, I didn't want to get back into VAR and refereeing, but
no,
it just looked it's a Champions League game. Was it a Champions League game? It was a UEFA game, Champions League, but the game was dominated it was refereed by VAR, and that is wrong.
As soon as I saw it on Rye's list, I groaned, and that's how bad VAR is getting now, because we just go round and round and round in circles.
Well, let's do something about it.
Well, what can we do? Yeah. Go and what can you do? It's not like we can really massively.
It was a collective we. It wasn't us. It was a collective we from a football family perspective.
It was a we.
I was picturing you getting us in a car and flying him over in the private jet with his oils and
we'll break into football stadiums and burn VAR. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Getting Ted over with his cat coming over in his septic wagon and now turning up on crutches in an ambulance.
Turn the blowers on.
Exactly. Now there's a picture that warms the cockles of my heart. Drive septic tank into a Premier League game while the cameras are there and just empty it on the VAR system. Love it.
Thanks for that, Steve. Thanks to Steve. Now me and Ryan are on some sort of terror watch list.
Exactly. I've just got a text from my lawyer that says, please abstain from saying anything if anything does happen to a VAR room in the next 24 hours. I live in Australia. I am innocent. I have nothing to do with that. I love the VAR.
Oh, dear. Reminds me
statement.
I meant to fly to the UK in February. Thanks. I'm absolutely getting the rubber glove when I get to that airport now, aren't I?
I think we've got the makings of a new superhero. Dave in his Chumley Warner referee kit. Whenever there's a VAR decision, he flies in with a cape and rectifies the decision. I think that's what we need.
I love it.
One-far woman.
Super Dave.
I hope. Yeah. Look, I think you're absolutely right. We'll wrap it up because, like Steve said, we're all sick of talking about it, but it is something that needs to be addressed probably end of season. And at the moment, there is no answer to try and fix it. I think if you try and fix it, you're only going to make it worse. Just remove it, get it back to put the referee back in charge, let human error take control, and let's just move on and stop making ourselves the laughing stock.
But you've got to be honest, it is the gift that keeps giving, isn't it? Every single weekend.
It is. Yep. Every game. There's not going to be one weekend now to the end of the season that won't have some controversy with it. I guarantee you now. Every weekend, there's going to be some game out there where whatever it is, Champions League, whatever it may be, there's always going to be one game that is going to be marred by VAR. I put my hand on my chest and I solemnly swear that there will be one game every weekend, even internationals, that'll be marred by VAR until they get rid of it. So
okay,
it is what it is.
While we're all gazing into Rye's crystal balls, then I'll make a prediction. We've got an international weekend coming up where, it does become a challenge to talk football throughout 5 days a week.
Yep.
I bet you will be discussing VAR even when there's no domestic football being played in the top two divisions.
I refuse to put it in any of my news headlines for the next 2 weeks.
I'll change that.
There's a challenge. Let's see if we can not mention it for a week.
If Middlesbrough get done this weekend by a referee decision, it's back in Monday morning.
Hey fellas, we better do some sports news. I think we're a bit late here.
Let's do it.
Okay then. North East Footy Breakfast. We'll be right back after this.
Ted, Rye and Steve. The North East Footy Breakfast.
Right across the North East. The red, the cat and the tin.
Ted gets first billing again. Just as a qualifying statement, only because we have one short jingle made at the moment with the three of you on. So sorry, you start the show, boys. Both hours.
That's it.
Ted gets the short one first time.
That's it.
But multiple.
That's it.
There you go.
Steve and I are going for a curry. Enjoy, Steve. Enjoy. We're going to go enjoy curry. Ted, your show. I'm done. I can't have this.
That's
fine. This is ridiculous.
It's no worries. Right, let's crack on then.
Got to say, this has been there's a wonderful message going around on Twitter. I've tagged you in it, Rye, this morning, and it was a letter. It was one of those email kind of things you get from school if you kids off, and it just basically says hi to the parent, just to let you know that your daughter's absence from Monday the 6th of November 2023 will now be marked as unauthorised. This is due to media footage and news articles showing her in the away end in Germany at a football match. Please contact us at school if you wish to discuss this further. Absolutely brilliant.
I've got
we should put that together.
I've got a Radio Dad story.
The greatest catch-outs of you getting caught at the football.
I got
you
caught.
You should have been at work or school.
I got caught. I was in apprentice training school. I'd started my 4-year apprenticeship at ICI, good old ICI, big chemical industry company, on Teesside. First-year training school. Borough got through to the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. Replay at Molineux against Wolves. I got wind that a couple of my fellow apprentices had gone in and said, look, we've got tickets and we've paid for travel, and they were just said, no, you must attend work. So I threw in a sickie, and on ITV's coverage that night, there's me right behind the goal, full picture, full face, enjoying myself at Molineux. Let's just say I got into a little bit of bother the next morning.
No.
Yeah.
Can you believe it? Ted, Steve, you ever been caught at the football when you should have been at work or at your mum's birthday party?
Nah, I remember doing trying to put a request in. It was when I was doing the doors in Newcastle with a security company to get a night off for a particular event, and I didn't get the night off, and then I did take the night off. It was somebody's birthday. I couldn't miss it. You know, it was one of those situations, family birthday. And I ended up on a disciplinary because of that. You know, just because it was an authorised absence. But never been caught at the football. I mean, you've just got you say you've got to be careful, but there's that many cameras now, it's just impossible to avoid it. If your luck's in, your luck's in. If your luck's not in, then unfortunately something's going to happen like that. But could have been worse. It's a kid at school with an unauthorised absence, so the worst things happen at sea, lads.
I've actually used work as an excuse to go to a football match. But it's
Brilliant.
Yeah, I was supposed to go to a wedding. There's somebody probably sitting, if they are listening to this, going, "You absolute monster!" But it was a friend of a friend's wedding that I was meant to attend, and I wasn't that keen on going. So I made the excuse up that I had to work, and I instead went to the Stadium of Light. Yeah, that tells you about the moral standards that I have.
I absolutely love it. Well, lads, I got to check in quickly. We got Rye jingles and games back. Obviously, Rye taking control today. We did do a Who Am I to kick it off at the top of the hour. If you wanted to know or get the first clue, I will read it out to you again. And I want to ask the lads if they've got any idea. But don't forget, you can WhatsApp the show at any time. Get on your mobile phones, your little doohickeys, your little, what do you call them these days? That's me sounding old. There you go. Right. There you go. Now I'm fitting in with everybody. You can WhatsApp us on 300. Oh my God, I've just been 0330 043 2002. You can get in the WhatsApp and you can get involved with the lads, and you can tell me that I'm the favourite and Ted needs to be pushed to the side, and I completely agree with you. The clues this morning for the Who Am I is: I only assisted once in my Premier League career. However, it was the most important assist of that season. I am a journeyman known for my trouble-making antics. Lads, do you have any idea who this might be?
I do.
Frank Lampard.
Incorrect.
No,
I think it's
he only
the beach
assisted
ball.
in pretending to be a manager once.
Who are you going, Ted? Who is it?
I think it's the beach ball, the infamous beach ball from the Sunderland Liverpool game.
Goal should never have stood. Outside interference. Should have been a drop ball on the 6-yard box.
The beach ball. Steve, any ideas?
I've got no idea, mate. It's a strange
No
one.
idea.
I mean, I thought I was going to get more clues than just that, mate. I mean, there's countless.
Well,
the clues in the journeyman, I guess. I'm thinking of journeymen who've only had one assist, but we need more, mate. We need more.
All right, so here is another clue. So to go on the first two clues of, I only assisted once in my Premier League career. However, it was the most important assist of that season, and I am a journeyman known for my troublemaking antics. Here is your next clue. I began my career 20 minutes from my residence. I began my career 20 minutes away from where I lived. There you go. It's toughy. It's a toughie. It's one of those ones that can brew.
Is it a genuine one?
It's a genuine. 100% genuine.
It's not a real curveball. You're going to turn around and say goalpost or something.
100% it is genuine. 100% this is a player. 100% this is not an Australian A-League person that you guys would never get. This is a famous footballer he's a journeyman from the English Premier League. He's gone around. You will know him very, very well when I bring his name out. It's got to be tough though. I can't have you guys coming out and going Frank Lampard. You know what I mean? Who fell over at Chelsea? Oh, Stephen. You know, it's got to be a toughie. These riot jingles and games are no joke. All right, there's prizes on the line, and the prize is the Christmas card list that Ted got rid of yesterday. So you're
what if I get it
if
right?
you win this one, you're on the Christmas card.
Right, okay, fair enough. Well, the pressure's on. I really want to be on that list.
Let's move on. If you have any idea, make sure you get in on that WhatsApp. But I want to talk to the lads, and I want to bring it up this morning because Middlesbrough are in a bit of spot of bother, Dave. Come January, February, because we got a little interesting thing called the African Cup of Nations coming to us in the start of 2024. African Cup of Nations. It actually kicks off at the end of this year at the Ivory Coast. Now, Middlesbrough, for one, are going to be without their number one keeper, Seny Dieng, for about a month's period. Now, we are not obviously the only club affected. Lads, if you want to do some homework, have a look at who for Sunderland and Newcastle might be missing. But Dave, I wanted to talk to you first because how frustrating is it that we can get our number one goalkeeper taken away from us for a couple of months? I want to know, one, obviously your frustrations with that. Is it something that you just accept and you're actually not frustrated by? But losing Seny Dieng, we're going to look for him from about a month, they reckon, at the moment. And there's a couple of other players in there that could likely get called up as well. Do we... one, get frustrated and just leave it and then trust in Tom Glover and Jamie Jones as our backup keepers? Or do we acknowledge that Seny's going to obviously disappear for a month and then in January sign someone like your Stefan or something like that and then have a fourth goalkeeper when Seny does return? How do we handle it and why, how frustrating is it?
Frustrating only to the extent that you're losing your keeper for 4 or 5 weeks. Look, when you sign an international footballer with from African descendancy, then you know that they are going to disappear when AFCON comes around. It's a great tournament. I've been there. I was in Ghana in 2007, I think it was, for the tournament there. The pride that's attached. You can't stop a player from wanting to represent his country in what is the equivalent of the Euros. So you know that. Seny Dieng, we know he's an international. We know there's every chance he's going to be called up for that tournament. And there's, from a player's perspective, he's going to want to go and compete. So it's like Newcastle now. You're playing the Premier League. You have international stars. You know you're going to lose them during an international break. Yes, normally domestic football comes to a halt because it's got such an impact. But AFCON is different. It's always been different. So you've got to bear that in mind when you're signing a player from Africa. So,
well,
so how do we deal with it?
Do we go and sign another keeper? Is that the answer?
I think
to cover a month.
If we're going to make signings, there are other areas of the field that we need to strengthen. I would give the lads.
Trust Tom Glover?
I would give the lads who are there a chance.
Yeah.
Got to.
Yep. Okay, I like it. The big right hand from down under gets a chance in the Borough goal. Well, just to quickly, while the lads are looking it up, I can report that Steve's probably got an easier job here because there isn't any
over the
Newcastle.
moon.
Yeah, there isn't a single Newcastle United
it's
AFCON
great.
member that has been. Yep, so you're not going to be touched, which is probably good for Newcastle considering the injury woes they go. The most affected side in the Premier League, though, is Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest will be without 7 players come AFCON. 7 players. They take the gold medal in losing the amount of players. So that is
got another 193 that they can pick.
I was going to say, they'll be all right.
They can dip in quite well. But another one for you, Ted, that I wanted to bring up would be someone you've obviously been talking about a lot is Amad Diallo, who is actually qualified and plays for Ivory Coast. So
yes,
is there a chance that the loan that you think you guys are hopeful for or talking about of him coming in January back to Sunderland, could that be affected by the fact that he will be disappearing to play for Ivory Coast anyway?
I don't think it will. I think when you've got somebody of the quality of Diallo potentially coming back to the club, I think you accept that kind of thing. It's Ivory Coast are probably going to be there a little longer, though. I would imagine they're one of the favourites to go pretty far in that competition, given their international pedigree in recent history. But yeah, I think you kind of take that one on the chin. It all depends, I suppose, what we've got left. If Jack Clark goes, There's still sort of rumours circulating that he could be sold in January, and Diallo, I guess, would kind of fit the bill as a temporary replacement. But yeah, you take this kind of thing. I personally, and it's never going to happen, I personally don't think football should stop for international games. I would love to see a situation where, even in the Premier League, and this, I'll tell you what this would do, it would really improve the academies as well. Let's say England have a friendly, and England have far too many friendlies. It just disrupts the whole course of the football season. I would love to see a position where the league games get played, I don't care whether England are playing or not, and you have to promote from within your academies and get those sort of reserve players and those academy players into first team football and give them a chance to play. It'll never happen. It would be interesting, but that's what I'd love to see.
I don't think it will. Yeah, it would be interesting though. It would be very interesting to see that. Obviously, we're coming up for another international break just after this weekend of fixtures as well. And some questions there around the certain Socceroos and a couple of Aussies borough players that haven't been selected there, which, I don't know, just raises a few eyebrows for me. We'll get into that in a little bit later. We are closing in on 8 a.m. here, coming up for your morning news. It is the North East Footy Show.
I haven't even had a chance to discuss the whole African Cup of Nations, which I'm delighted about. I'm over the moon. You're going in a bit premature. We've got 7 minutes to go. I mean, look at the other teams in the Premier League who've got so many players missing. West Ham, probably one of our rivals this year. We've got Kudus is going to be missing. Ben Rama, Cornier, Aguerd going to be representing Morocco. Fulham, another team which are in and around the European slots, and a team where you know you're going to be going into a tough game during the winter period. I think it starts around about FA Cup time when they're away for a month. But you've got Bassi, Iwobi, Toure, who is going to be missing from Fulham's team. Brentford again, another team that was up and around there, missing 3. They're missing Mbeumo. That's going to be a big. That's a big one. That's a big one for them. I mean, Ivan Toney will be back and available, but will he be at Brentford? Is the question. Palace, they're only losing 2, but they're losing Decore and Ayew. Again, 2 key players. Brighton, Tariq Lamptey, who gets a game most weeks. Chicane, Simon Adingra, and Carlos Baliba. So there's 4 from Brighton. Again, another one who you would say are Newcastle's rivals. Villa just as lucky as us, really. They're only missing Traore, who plays for Burkina Faso. You've already mentioned Forest. Wolves, who have other problems on their mind this season, only missing a couple of players. Boubacar Traore plays for Mali. You've got Ait Nouri playing for Algeria. Everton only missing 1 player. Guy's going to Senegal, represent Senegal, and Bournemouth have got 3 players missing. So it's not affecting Newcastle. That's a big thing for Newcastle, and as you say, with the injuries that Newcastle has sustained at this part of the season. So far, so good. If we get to Bournemouth, and let's say we lose against Bournemouth, and we've got away with it to the seat of our pants. We've then got a 2-week break. We've got players on international duty, of course, but we've got time to get some of these players back in time for those key fixtures going into December, and then January we'll get that little bit of stroke of luck. But yeah, I'm happy, and I mean it's not so long ago that this tournament really did affect Newcastle United's first team. Yeah. We had Demba Ba, we had Papa Cisse, we had Cheick Tiote.
I was going to say Cisse, yeah.
We had 3 players in that 2014-15 season who, basically were taken away from us just as we were going into the new year in the midst of another relegation battle. John Carver was the manager at the time, and we only scraped to safety that season with a Jonas Gutierrez goal. So, the African Cup of Nations, I just think it's an awkward time for it, for the Premier League, because we're in the midst of our season, whereas other countries aren't, and it does affect us more. And I mean, we'll have the winter break in there as well. There will be the winter break. We have which is only a fairly recent addition to the Premier League. That comes in. That's come in, was it last year or the year before, and we've got 2 weeks off as well. So it is an interesting time, but that could help Newcastle 100%.
It's interesting to see as well with Man United as well. Obviously, they have been linked with the return for De Gea on a short-term loan because obviously they're going to lose Andre Onana, their number one goalkeeper who plays for Cameroon, obviously. So Man United also, obviously we've been talking to them to take the show off of how bad and how much of a rough situation that Man United found themselves in with all the players and all the issues that they're having. But they're about to lose, their number one goalkeeper for a month or two in Onana. And at that level, when Man United are still looking to try and qualify for Champions League and stuff like that, you would argue that you'd want to have a pretty decent goalkeeper to come in and stand behind players like your Harry Maguires and Johnny Evans, who actually came off injured as well in that game last night. So it'll be interesting to see. But Man United without Onana and linked with De Gea return as well on a short-term deal, which will be very interesting to see if he does return and if he could maybe get a longer contract again there. But that is the talk of the town at the moment. But yeah, the AFCON is going to be interesting. Middlesbrough are going to be affected. Newcastle scot-free. The only thing for Sunderland is that it looks like it might affect is the Amad Diallo return that Ted is praying and hoping on. Is that Amad Diallo could come back in January and then disappear for a month or two to play for Ivory Coast. But if it does so happen, I think all Sunderland fans would be happy to get him for a game or two beforehand and then get him back for a few games afterwards as well. Such is the player that Amad Diallo is. Interesting enough, Middlesbrough without Seny Dieng, their number one goalkeeper, up to Tommy Glover, the big right hand from down under, but has been excluded from the Socceroos squad. Has been backup keeper for the Borough squad. Hasn't been getting any game time. So Socceroos manager Graham Arnold has overlooked Tommy Glover for selection of the Socceroos on the next 2 weeks, which is very interesting. Tom Glover stated in his move to Borough that he was looking to improve his Socceroo chances by moving to Middlesbrough, more prolific club, more, I guess, puts his name on the map that he is playing for Middlesbrough. But Graham Arnold, because he's a backup keeper, said that he's if he's not playing, then I can't pick him. So Tommy Glover not getting picked for the Socceroos trip. It is a long way to go for a 2-week break. Don't forget, from Middlesbrough all the way to Australia. Don't I know it? But yeah, obviously without Riley McGree as well. We'll talk about that after 8 o'clock as well with Riley McGree and that injury of syndesmosis. And what it actually means, and are we sort of? Am I denying that Riley's not going to be back anytime soon? Should I be getting the oils ready, boys?
Getting the oils ready. Perfect time to go to the news if you're going to start talking about that.
Lube him up. Yeah. Here we go.
Magic hands. That is right.
I think on that note, we shall go to the news. The North East Football Show, Brekky Show, will be back across. He's stunned me across the North East on the Cat, the Red, and the Two.
Lavender.
From Yarm to Yibby, Harrington to Horsley Hill, Swarwell to Silverlink. The North East Footy Breakfast with Roy, Steve, and Ted.
Right across the northeast, the Red, the Toon, and the Cat.
Tell you what, we play some absolute belters. I know we talk footy, have a laugh and a bit of crack, but when we do play some music, we play some absolute belters. Mr. Broken Wings.
True that.
Yeah.
Apart from James Arthur.
What's wrong with James?
I just said it because I knew Ted would agree.
He's beige.
You guys don't know music.
We've got James Arthur at Middlesbrough. You've got Sam Fender in Newcastle. Who do I have? Who's Sunderland's, Ted?
Yeah, go on.
There's an absolutely fantastic band, and the name has just absolutely gone from me. Hang on, 2 seconds.
They're that good, are they?
I'm having a senior moment, right? I'm having a senior moment.
I squirted in some Arthur, and it just threw him. Look.
They're called The Void. The Void. Honestly, look them up. I'll send you a track to play it tomorrow, Dave. Honestly, The Void are They're a proper, like, fist-pumping indie anthem band. The group of young lads, they're absolutely terrific. I love them. Absolutely love them.
Okay.
I'll guarantee you'll enjoy that track if we play that tomorrow, Dave. I'm sure we can make
Sounds
that
like
happen.
You got any contacts? Should we get them on the show?
I do, yeah. I can speak to the band. Yeah, that's no problem whatsoever, yeah.
Yeah, let's get them on. Get them on, play some music across the North East. Yes.
We'll do that. We'll get them on. Honestly, you'll love their stuff. I'll send you a link to the WhatsApp group that we don't talk about anymore.
I'm just messaging James, my good mate Arthur. Give me 2 secs as well. I'll just say, I've got to say good morning to my
I told him
mate
to get a
James.
haircut.
He's had one. Apparently he's had one.
Has he? Because it looked like Lego before.
Cutting.
I'm not a fan.
Cutting. Anything with any connection to Teesside, and he's in there, isn't he? Like the Grim Reaper. He's in there.
I do love your Palmore, but it's not really a Teesside thing, is it? Let's be honest.
Yes, it is.
The first Palmer was made by a Geordie.
That's
absolutely true.
Now you guys want to take the chicken.
It's like trying to claim the pizza came from Italy. Absolutely not.
Of course it was. The guy was making the Palmos whilst the guys from Middlesbrough were building the Tyne Bridge. He was underneath the Tyne Bridge with a stall.
Look, Google doesn't lie, okay? Google is the most trustworthy source in the world.
Yep.
The Parmo or the Teesside Parmesan is a dish originating from Middlesbrough, North Yorkshire, England.
At least we know it's not the North East now.
Absolutely, that's nailed it on, hasn't it?
Cheers, Google.
To be honest, the Parmo doesn't even stand up to a pork saveloy dip. It's absolutely in a pink slice. You've just got no chance.
It's got nothing on a ham and peas pudding sandwich and a bottle of brown ale.
We'll be talking stotties and fried Mars bars next. God.
Put the news headlines on before I throw up after thinking of those two dishes. Oh my goodness.
Look, I'm not looking at my screen. I've got no idea which of my buttons I'm going to press here and who's going to come first. So be ready, all three of you. Here we go.
Rise and proud, Mags News.
No. I was hoping it wasn't going to be me first, but anyway. Tickets for Newcastle United's Champions League group stage match at Paris Saint-Germain will go on sale today at 10 o'clock in the morning. If you've got 165 loyalty points, then you will be first in the queue for the match, which takes place on Tuesday the 28th of November at the Parc des Princes. The Toons allocation, though, is currently below the 5% allocation the club is entitled to, and as per the UEFA competition regulations. The club have challenged this with PSG and in turn escalated it with UEFA in September, but they're still awaiting a response to this challenge, so it doesn't look promising on getting more tickets, chaps. Kieran Trippier is refusing to give up on Newcastle's Champions League dream after the defeat in Dortmund left them with a mountain to climb. The 33-year-old, who swiftly turned his attention to Saturday's trip to Bournemouth, said, "When I was at Tottenham we had Barcelona and Inter Milan in our group and everyone said it was done, but never say never. We got to the final that year, so it's a never say die attitude from us. We can't control what happens, we just have to focus on Bournemouth and forget this result." And Matt Targett insists he's determined to come back better than ever after the Newcastle United defender underwent surgery for a hamstring injury. The left back was forced off after only a minute of the recent Carabao Cup victory at Manchester United, adding to Eddie Howe's growing casualty list. He posted an update on his social media yesterday to give an update to the fans, and that's in Newcastle United headlines this Thursday morning.
Smoggies and proud, Borough News.
Good morning, Borough fans. Hope you're all fantastic, safe and well for this, your Thursday morning. Our headlines read like this. Middlesbrough head coach Michael Carrick has been nominated for the October Championship Manager of the Month award. Carrick is competing with Leicester City's Enzo Maresca, Southampton's Russell Martin and Ipswich Town's Kieran McKenna for the prize. Enzo Maresca is the likely favourite, however it is a positive sign of the turnaround and work Carrick has done and overseen at the Borough. And EFL pundit Adrian Clark worries Middlesbrough are too weak and fragile to make the playoffs this season, with their defending a cause for concern. The former Arsenal Academy graduate watched Borough's 3-3 draw with Plymouth Argyle at the weekend as an early season defensive woes came to fore again in what was the frustrating away draw. Borough have now conceded 23 goals in 15 games. I think in this game, he said, Vandenberg struggled a bit at right back. And the bottom line is they've conceded the same number of goals as Sheffield Wednesday, who are having a stinker of a season at the bottom of the championship. Unless they get that fixed, Borough won't be in the playoff race this time round, so they've got a lot of work to do come January. And finally, it's that time of the year again that the under-12s from the Borough Academy take part in the initiative called the Christmas Truce Project, as they learn about the positivity of football and about how the positivity of football can unite people. The under-12s have until the 14th of December to complete their Christmas Truce Project, which will be judged by the staff from the Premier League. If they are successful, they will travel to Belgium and take part in an educational weekend looking at the original trenches and learning about the different battles around Belgium, as well as playing in a football tournament with other clubs from Europe and around England. To find out more about what the under-12s will be working on and to show your support, head over to mfc.co.uk. That is your Borough headlines from your favourite Australian. Now let's cancel all the rest of the headlines.
Mackems and Proud. Black Cats News.
He's never going to cancel our culture, is he? He's got no chance. Good morning, Sunderland fans. A handful of Sunderland players have been called up by their countries for the upcoming international break. Trey Hume and Dan Ballard have been named in Northern Ireland's senior squad for European qualifying matches against Finland and Denmark. However, Michael O'Neill's side are already unable to qualify for next summer's tournament in Germany. Niall Huggins also earned his first senior call-up for Wales national team ahead of their important qualifying matches against Armenia and Turkey, while the world's most favourite Aussie, Nectarios Triantis, is part of the Socceroos under-23s for friendly fixtures against Saudi Arabia and Qatar. And after being named in Ukraine's squad last month's international break, Sunderland striker Nasri Rusin is on the standby list ahead of his country's decisive European qualifying match against Italy. Staying with those international call-ups, Rob Page has explained why he's called up Sunderland's Niall Huggins to the Wales senior squad. Speaking in his press conference, the national team manager heaped praise on Huggins following his first international call-up. Page said, "He's athletic, he's playing with a young team, I know and like how they play, full of energy, he can play both sides for us. How we play, I think he suits us, he fits in with how we want to play really well." Niall Huggins only had four under-21 caps to his name and failed to make an appearance for Wales youth side since joining Sunderland, having spent most of his first 2 years at the club in the treatment room. The defender only managed 8 appearances for the Black Cats since arriving on Wearside in 2021, however things have looked much better for him this season. And finally, Sunderland AFC under-18s are back on the road this week with a short trip to Tyneside for the Tyne and Wear derby on Saturday morning. That's 11 a.m. kick-off at Little Benton Academy. The lads are looking to make it back-to-back wins after the home victory against Wolves. The young Magpies are currently led by Graham Carrick, brother of Michael Carrick, manager of Championship strugglers Middlesbrough, who wears awful cardigans. The two sides last faced each other back in March, where the Black Cats ran out 7-2 victors at the Little Benton Academy. So how are the young lads? Let's build another 6-in-a-row legacy. How we?
Ted, Rye and Steve, the North East Footy Breakfast.
Right across the North East, the Red, the Cat and the Tune.
Now let's get this sorted once and for all. I'm delighted to say Mr. Hartlepool, Joe Franks, who's behind Bastille coming last year to the North, earlier this year to the North East, the Open Jar Music Festival, all that kind of good stuff that's going on. He joins us this morning, and the all important question is, Stoddies, ham and peas pudding sandwiches or Parmos, Joe?
I mean, this isn't even up for debate, surely. Who said ham and peas pudding sandwiches are better than Parmos?
Thank you.
I tell you what.
Get him on the show. He can stick around every morning. That's my man. That's my man.
Brilliant. Well, I'm glad we got that one sorted out first and foremost. Welcome to the show, mate. Welcome to the madness that is the North East Footy Breakfast Show. You're at it again, Joe. You're at it again. The Open Jar Music Festival 2024, bigger and better.
Yeah, I mean, we've just announced last night what we're doing after our sellout show last year. It went down a storm last night. We've already hit close to 4,000 sign-ups ready for next year, and we only announced last night at 6 p.m. So yeah, all very exciting stuff.
Let's go.
Yeah, give us the details. What can we see next year?
Yeah, so I mean, last year we did a 1-day event, and it sold out, fairly quickly. We sold 5,000 tickets last year, so we've decided now to go for 2 days. So we're doing Friday and Saturday in September, and yeah, we're just we're ready to go. We've got some big names. We've handpicked the best tribute acts from up and down the country. We've got the South Martins, who people from around Middlesbrough know they've sold out the Town Hall a few times. Massive acts, and we're very fortunate to have them all come to Seaton Carew.
It's incredible what you're doing. I suppose from a region perspective, is this an indication of how we do embrace music, entertainment, that you can go in the space of 12 months from a single day event to a Friday and Saturday event?
Yeah, I mean, we were a little bit taken back last year with how well the festival sold, but then the response that we had after it was just so positive. All the feedback we had, and the next day people messaging asking for next year, when will tickets be on sale. So we definitely think that we can do the 2 days this year, and with the response that we had last night with the announcement, we might have to add a third date next year, the way it's looking.
I'm telling you what, mate, what will really make it for you is there's a bunch of guys on a morning who get on the radio and they talk football and complete nonsense. Yep. And they are going to record a Christmas single. So maybe we need an appearance at the Open Jar Festival. Sorry, it wasn't we. I was being neutral there. Maybe they are so good that they need to be on stage in Seaton Carew in September.
Get in before the fame hits.
Hang on, we're not Led Zeppelin. Dread Zeppelin, maybe.
We can definitely make that happen.
I was pitching it well for us there, lad. I think we've just blown it. We've just blown our chance.
Do you think the popularity is getting back to the music just for a second? Do you think the appetite's there? Because I mean, I think in recent years the North East lost so many of its great old venues. The Mayfair and Newcastle and places like that. There's not those same places where you can go. Do you think that appetite's always been there in the North East for these live events? And obviously, you're coming along at the right time to bring that back to the people.
Yeah, we certainly seen it last year. We did a couple of big events down at the seafront. Obviously, we did the tribute festival that went amazing. But we also brought Bastille to the town. It was one of the biggest names the town scene, and the response from that was fantastic. We also did Clubland, and again the response from that, a completely different genre and audience. We covered 3 different audiences, and we had 16,000 people there over 3 days. It was amazing. And so, yeah, I think the appetite's definitely there. And we're hoping to add even bigger and better names and shows this summer. There's still more to come. We've announced a tribute last night, but we've still got a lot up our sleeve and a lot of things that are getting worked on in the background.
It's good. Yeah, it's great to see these festivals happen. I mean, Sunderland's got a well-established festival now. Newcastle have had a few over the last few years. You've got John Adamson doing Hardwick Live each year, which is a big pull for families. I think it's improved. I mean, I've done my fair share of promoting myself. I mean, up until the O2 Academy closed down in Newcastle and became a different venue, I was doing all of the retro acts there, so I was putting on the likes of Bad Manners, From the Jam, Big Country, Hue and Cry, all of those kind of acts from a certain era for people of a certain vintage, and I was selling those out, from the Jam, which ultimately only has one member of the Jam, Bruce Foxton, in it now. Originally Rick Buckler used to be on drums, but they were pulling in 1,100 for me at that venue, and it was absolutely fantastic. But all good things come to an end. I never wanted to be a music promoter, but I understand the excitement of it, and I can only imagine what it must be like for you when you've seen this festival grow from an idea into what it's become. With the acts that you're putting on, and there's nothing better, I feel. I mean, there's the stress of doing it, the stress of whether the weather's going to be okay, the stress of whether everything's going to arrive and you're going to get everything set up on time, whether the bands are going to get there. But the best part about it for me was just always, and I'm sure it's the same for you, it's either standing in the crowd or standing at the side of the stage and just watching the first act go on, because it just gives you just such a buzz that everything you've worked so hard towards achieving has come to reality in front of you. It's fantastic. Well done on it, by the way.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I couldn't agree anymore. I mean, we had, last year when we set up the Bastille site, the weather was against us. It was raining all week. We didn't have a particularly good summer weather-wise, and it was touch and go in the morning. The wind was picking right up, and at one point we didn't think the show was going to go ahead, and we thought this is absolutely typical. Our first year we're going to get cancelled with the weather. Luckily, it changed for us at the last minute, and you say we got them on stage, and the crowd was loving it, and so were we. We stood at the side of the stage, and like you say, we couldn't believe that we pulled off such a big show in the town. It was very exciting stuff for us.
What is the most stressful part of doing all this? Is it wondering whether the tickets will sell as you're going through that? Is it dealing with the acts? Is it all the logistics? I mean, where does the real stress come from, Joe?
I think there's so many things that are out of our control as well, which is the hard thing. Like you say, the weather last year, there's absolutely nothing you can do about the weather, and I think that was something that was giving us a bit of sleepless nights last year. But yeah, the ticket sales, it's something that you put out, and you just sort of, once you've done all the work that you can do and you're putting it out there, you're just sort of hoping that people buy into it. So again, you just sort of trust in your judgment a little bit. We've had that now with Soundwave when we've been deliberating on who's going to be the next headliner for next year, and you just want to get it right. So again, there's probably a lot of sleepless nights around the smaller details, but I would say the most stressful thing is the things that we can't control, and the weather's certainly that in the North East, isn't it?
And we're going to see a Soundwave 24, are we?
100%.
Brilliant.
We are very, very, very close to getting somebody signed, and if this deal goes ahead, it'd be the biggest deal that's ever came to Hartlepool by a long shot. So
don't give me away just yet, mate. I'm still corking contracts, but don't give me away just yet. All right. Still want to get that private jet organised before you give old Rye a little bit of give it away. But good. Just keep
there'll
keep
certainly
your
no
ears
ham
out.
and peas pudding sandwiches. On the
I'm not going then. I'm not going.
You can imagine it, can't you? Rye on his private jet eating a parmo.
Just a quick question. Obviously, massive way to promote local talent and all that kind of thing. I mean, I'm lucky enough to have friends who are big in the sort of the tribute band area. I guess the FU Fighters, I've got a few friends in them. I've got friends in the Metal Militia, who's the Metallica tribute band as well. All very, very talented musicians. But do you think there's obviously the danger is that the music in schools is on the decline? We know that it's kind of like it's almost non-existent now in terms of the teaching. Do you think there's do you think there's still plenty of young people coming through and actually picking up instruments and having a good thrash and just having the time of their life with their mates? Do you still see that?
Well, yeah, we had an introduction stage at Soundwave last year, and it was like a lot of local talent on there. Yeah. And yeah, to be honest, they were fantastic, and the reception that them guys got in the we called it the Hideaway stage, which was where, like you say, lots of up and coming artists went on there, and the response that them guys got was fantastic. And hopefully, over the coming years, they make the way onto the main stage is the hope. So yeah, we sing quite a lot of good local talent join us on that stage, and obviously with us having the open jar restaurants as well, we do have lots of local musicians come and play in the restaurants as well. So yeah, I think we see our fair share of very talented locals.
So the future's still bright.
The North East, exactly that. Because the North East, such a hotbed of talent. It's produced some fantastic musicians over the year. It's great to say that. Honestly, massive congratulations on what you do for the music scene. Because if you've listened to the show, I'm an absolute avid muso anyway. It's just great to see somebody flying the flag and giving those people the opportunity to play there. So well done to you, mate.
He's dusting off his leather pants as we speak, I'm telling you. He is. He's getting ready.
Nobody wants to see that. Especially a size 42 waist.
Yeah, just when the septic tank truck's been to empty your tank.
I don't believe Ted wears pants.
Oh, God. What have I done here? What door have I opened? So, Joe, give us the details again. What's the dates for the festival next year?
So the dates are the 6th of September and the 7th of September. We have opened up now pre-sale. So basically what that means is if you want to register for an early bird cheap ticket, you do so now. And you do that by going to our website, openjartribute.co.uk, or just type us into Facebook and you'll find us. And them tickets, the pre-sale tickets go on sale on the 14th of September, and we go... Sorry, not September, November. We're in November, aren't we? Yeah, sorry. No, so the pre-sale tickets go on sale 14th of November, and they go on general sale on the 16th. So if you want them early bird tickets and you want to save yourself, a good bit of money, get signed up, and you'll save some money and come down and have hopefully a weekend pass. Come and join us on the Friday or the Saturday, or both, whatever you want. But get them early bird tickets and save yourself some money.
I'll tell you what, let's have a conversation to see how we can get the radio stations across the North East involved. And, all power to your elbow, mate. We wish you well.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Thanks for your time this morning, lads.
No, thanks for coming on. Cheers.
Thank you,
Brilliant.
Good being
It's
here.
Joe Franks, the man who's behind the Soundwave Festival. Bastille coming to Seaton Crew, Hartlepool area last year, and also the Open Jar Tribute Music Festival as well. So back on again and doubled in size for 2024. That's brilliant
Pulling
stuff.
the biggest name ever to the North East as well.
What, Rye? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, well, I can't say anything, I can't say my agent's in talks at the moment. So, you know what I mean? I do play a mean sticks with those jingles as well. So don't you worry.
Cracking. Where are we going, boys?
I think we should have some sport headlines shortly.
Let's have some, let's do sport headlines. But then I believe Ted, unfortunately, as I yell that into my microphone, has solved our Who Am I? And he's going to work his way back on his Christmas list. So,
well, I thought it was Ted you were talking about. I thought you were viewing him from his parading in the on the field in the Stockton and District Sunday Morning League.
He is the Who Am I?
Obviously not. Right, we'll do some sport.
Welcome back to the North East Brekky Show.
But don't talk about our WhatsApp group, and don't talk about our private conversations when we're on air.
Absolutely never.
Yeah.
And always fill in radio silence with either Ted or myself as well. That was the main thing. No more radio silence. I'm just going to keep talking till the cows come home now, because it's just never going to be ever again. But Ted, I'm upset. I'm sad. You've worked. I'm not going to say you've worked. You've forced your way back onto my Christmas card list. You have solved the greatest Who Am I to ever hit a North East Brekky show. Go on and tell the fans that are listening around the North East this morning my Who Am I's. If you want as well, I'll give you the clues that I gave away this morning. There was 3 clues that went out. And this is Ted has jumped on and he's managed to solve it. The clues were: I only assisted once in my Premier League career. However, it was the most important assist of that season. I am a journeyman known for my trouble-making antics. My debut was for my local side, which was 20 minutes from my house. And Ted, you've solved it. Who is the player that I am talking about?
Why always me, Rye? It was Mario Ballotelli.
Why? That was going to be the final clue. The why always me. The Italian stallion, the Mario Ballotelli, is your Who Am I for the Thursday morning. That is it. It was Mario Ballotelli all along. Interesting career, old Mario, hasn't it? It's he's bounced around. Currently at Adana Demirspor, where he's only played 1 game this season. 33 years of age is Mario now. But quite the illustrious career has Mario had. Always asked the question of whether he would have done a lot better if he had to settle down a little bit. But maybe the ego makes the man at the end of the day. But yeah, the Who Am I was Mario Ballotelli. And I'll be back. I'll be back with some more Who Am I's very soon. Don't you worry about that. Don't you worry about that. Right, we are into the last half hour of the North East Brekky show. It was a good one. We have got a lot still to talk about. We have got football coming back this weekend. Cannot wait. And then we go into an international break, which for Borough, I think it's come at a little bit of a bad time, really. But you would argue for the couple of the other teams in the North East, maybe a good time, especially Newcastle with the injuries they've got. But I'm not looking forward to it. But lads, I need to talk about something specific to Borough at the moment. And his name is Riley McGree. He's my best mate. He's the man that I would fly over with my lavender oils for if he needed me. Riley McGree has got a I may be magic hands right, but I'm not good with my wording on medical issues. And Dave, is it syndesmosis? Is that how you pronounce it? Did I get that right?
I've got no idea, mate. I've never heard of it before.
It's syndesmosis. which
got
is
a
the
foot knack.
ligaments which stabilize. Yeah, which it's described as this: the ligaments which stabilize the fibula and tibia at the ankle joint. That is the issue that Riley McGree has got. So syndesmosis, and he's been out since just before the other international break we had, hoping he would come back, but he's still out. Now, Socceroos, Australia are due to play next week here in Australia as well, so a long journey. Sammy Silvera has been named. Tom Glover has missed out because he's not getting enough game time at the Borough. He's the backup keeper. But Riley McGree also hasn't been named, which leads me to believe that we're not going to probably see him this weekend, and we're probably going to hope that he comes back after the international break. So it's going to be a long out for Riley McGree, who is currently still the top scorer for Middlesbrough, which is incredible to see. So it's something that I just sort of, it came as a bit of a shock to me of how long Riley's been actually out for, because it looked really innocuous when he came off, Dave. He just limped off. Yeah. It wasn't anything, and it wasn't an injury sub or anything like that. It was simply he was getting subbed naturally anyway. He kind of just had a bit of a limp to him, and then all of a sudden he's now out for months on end. And we're looking now that we're probably not going to see him till December, and possibly middle of December, when we've got a real big run of games. Dave, are we in trouble without Riley McGree for this long? I mean, we've been handling it so far, but at some point, do we start asking the question of how long is he actually out for, and when can we see him coming back?
I don't think we're in trouble. As much as he's your best mate, I think we can operate without him. But one thing I can promise you, Rye, my son is a physio with the football team. So let me ask the question. I will ask the question, and tomorrow morning's show we'll come back with some answers from a physio, and we'll hopefully put you out of your misery.
If you are an syndesmosis expert out there listening to the North East Brekky show this morning, please get in on the WhatsApp. If you are an expert of the ankle, specifically around the fibula and tibia, yes, I did struggle to get that out.
My cat's just come running into the room.
If you've gone to university and said, I don't want to study anything but the fibula and tibia of the ankle joint, then please get in touch, because I need to know more about this syndesmosis injury.
I'm doing a PhD on syndesmosis.
I need to know how long my boy is out for and how we can fix it, all right? That's what I need you to get in touch with. I need all you syndesmosis experts. Wow, that's a lot of S's to say on your morning breakfast show.
Dear God.
Good job you haven't got a speech impediment, mate.
He probably thought he saw Rye in the crowd and thought, oh my God, I better get out of here. I'm going to be
as I was running down with my lavender oil belt. Yeah, I have my belt with all my oils in it. Running down putting the gloves on. Oh, I make a great physio back in the day, I tell you.
You can imagine him running down the steps with his bag of oils. He gets past a steward as he's brought down rugby tackle style, screaming, I'm only going to rub this on his feet.
I'm a syndesmosis expert, let me through. I studied it at university. That's
God.
what I'd be yelling. Lads, all right, that was the little Middlesbrough chat I just needed to cover, because I'm Riley McGree. What's going on? Talk to me, mate. Arteta has been slammed, obviously, in the recent weeks. Obviously, he's come under scrutiny now for what he said post-match against Newcastle. He's brought into his club coming in to back him. It is a disgrace. And he's saying, obviously, he's defending his club. The club are defending him. But he's now coming under scrutiny for the purchase of Raya, the goalkeeper, obviously, bringing in David Raya to cover Aaron Ramsdale. Now, Ramsdale was the number one for Arsenal. You would think he was going to be the England future, probably the number one there for a long time as well, and Arsenal have now replaced him. Now, it has been criticised that it could go down as one of the weirdest and wildest signings that Arsenal have ever made, because what was the success and the future that Ramsdale had, has it stunted his growth? Has it put him in the back line? Has it really, defied the confidence that Aaron had working forward? Lads, I need to ask you, and have a think about it if you need to, has your team in Sunderland or Newcastle ever bought a player that made you question why? Have you had a strong player, either in the striker, midfield or defence, and then all of a sudden, come January, come the summer transfer window, they've been replaced and you have no idea why? Because for me, it seems a little bit of a weird one. Ramsdale, I think, was going to be one of the best goalkeepers given time. He's still young. He's got a great England future ahead of him. And it seems to have been stopped in its tracks by the purchase of Raya by Arteta. Lads, do you know off the top of your head, and I'll start with you, Ted, of any signings that Sunderland ever made that I guess just baffled you? It can be in recent years, back years, whatever it may be. But has Sunderland ever replaced a player that made you question why?
Yeah. There's a one that's... I've got to go back a little few years on this one. Towards the end of Niall Quinn's career, who, for me, one of our all-time great players. Quinny never gets the recognition he deserves, especially for what he could do with his feet for such a big man. And the player that was brought in to replace him was a certain Lillian Lalonde. Now, Sunderland fans listening to this now are currently vomiting into bins. They're actually throwing the radios off cliffs and all sorts because it was just a disaster. I honestly don't think any due diligence must have been done on this guy, because it was kind of brought in as a direct replacement, but honestly, it was just awful. We had a guy playing for us at the time, Danny Dicchio, who was actually a very, very capable stand-in for Niall Quinn. He never ever let us down. And I feel like, well, there was your replacement. Dicchio was your guy who we should have turned to. He knew the club, he knew all that sort of thing. And it was just an awful, awful signing, really. There is another one, though, that could possibly be even worse, as we signed a Champions League winning German centre-back from Bayern Munich, and he never played a game for Sunderland, and that was Thomas Helmer. And apparently he got on the wrong side of it was Sacco. It was Bobby Saxton in training. He got on the wrong side of him and sort of commented on his coaching style, which, let's say, was a little bit industrial, and obviously not what Thomas Helmer had been used to. Great German international, prize winning all throughout his career. Yeah, so it was a kind of case of, well, why have we signed him? He never played. And I just feel that was one that could have actually spurred us on to do even better than the 2 7th place finishes that we had.
Interesting there. It's incredible to see some of the, looking back, how many players have come in and been, weirded. I remember for us, Dave, obviously the Jason Ewell coming in, signed by Gareth Southgate, because he wasn't included in the plans at Charlton. Came in as a replacement, if you will. And absolutely shocking down at the Borough, did Jason Ewell, one that I'd like to forget. Stevie, is there anyone at Newcastle, mate, that's come in as a signing that's replaced a player that you think didn't need replacing?
I mean, we weren't struggling for centre halves when Sam Allardyce came to the club, and I remember him signing, was it David Rosenthal and Cassapa? That was the other one, Cassapa. Mm-hmm. I remember Cassapa coming in the Newcastle team. I think he came in as a free transfer from Lyon, and he was a Brazilian, and a bit like Fumaker when he came to the club. We seem to have had this knack in the past of finding Brazilians that couldn't play football, and he was absolutely horrendous. He actually got taken off within 20 minutes in a game against Portsmouth, I think it was. But yeah, we didn't really need centre halves, and he brought in Rosenthal, who was a flop, Cassapa, who was a flop. This was around about the same time we brought in Viduka, who didn't exactly cover himself in glory at the age of 32. Too many injuries, and
superstar.
Basically came to Newcastle to get his pension and then retired. But yeah, I think that particular era of player, Boomsong, I mentioned in the other day as well, that Souness brought in. Newcastle had been offered him the season before for $1.5 million. Souness goes and pays Rangers. Talk about doing the old boys a favour. $8.5 million for the same player when he hadn't really done anything extra in that period of time. But yeah, those are the ones that spring to mind for me. Complete waste of space, complete waste of time. Players that didn't bring anything to the club, and ultimately didn't play that many games.
I can name another one for you, Steve.
Go on.
One that you signed from us, Lionel Perez.
Oh yes, another one. I mean, a goalkeeper again. When we went through, we've been through a period of our history where we've had so many great players, but the names of Perez, Correlce, and Hooper probably are all in that little group of keepers that didn't really do themselves justice. I can go through the likes of Gary Kelly, Kevin Carr, Martin Thomas, but then Steve Harper, Shea Given, Tim Kroll. We've had some great keepers, but those three, Perez, dear me, he was hopeless, wasn't he? Absolutely hopeless.
Just a bit.
We've had a few. Marvin Emness is a name that suddenly springs to mind. Less said about that, the better. Lee Dong-guk. The Korean.
That was a shocker.
I think everybody took to him as a bit of a novelty act. Afonso Alves. Now, he did get 10 goals in 40 odd games, so a 1 in 4 return. But I just remember him as Afonso Alves as the guy that tore up the Eredivisie in Holland. We spent 12.5 million on him, which was a club record at the time. He came in and he couldn't hit the barn door with a shovel, but he ended up scoring 10 in 40 odd games before we offloaded him. So there's been a few. And then there was Emerson's cousin.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
who was
going
that?
way back. Yeah, going way back there. That name's going to escape my mind right now.
If there's any Borough fans out there who can let us know, give us a WhatsApp.
Emerson's cousin though.
0430 2002. Can't remember his name. It wasn't it wasn't Marvin Emners, was it? No, it wasn't.
No,
it
wasn't.
Fabio.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Fabio. Yeah.
The left back from Man United.
No, not that one.
Not that one. Different one.
No.
Hang on, I'm actually on the Gazette website now because I'm dead fast. I'm not just good looking; I am actually useful as well.
Dead fast on the keyboard.
According to Borough folklore, the Brazilian was brilliant in his solitary match against Huddersfield, but disappeared. It was Emerson's cousin Fabio. There you go.
There you go. That is it. Actually.
Can you remember?
Thank you, Gazette.
Remember Graham Souness's greatest ever buy?
A flag.
Ali Dia.
Yes, remember it.
Yes.
George Weah's cousin.
That's the one.
Yes.
George Weah's cousin. There was a phone call made from somebody who put him in the direction of Ali Dia. Said it was George Weah, and he took him on a phone call. And he came. He played ultimately. I think he played 45 minutes and never played again. He ended up going. Believe it or not, here's a great story for you. He ended up going to Gateshead. He played 2 games. He played 2 games at Gateshead. Didn't do much down there. I then signed him for Felling Football Club in the Gateshead District League. He scored 2 goals for me against City East from Newcastle's East End. We won the game 4-2. He turned up in a Merc, an old version of a Merc, parked it at the Flower Show Fields on the Felling bypass, came and looked at the pitch, shook his head, went in the dressing room, put his strip on, couldn't believe the size of the changing room we were getting changed in, couldn't believe the state of the people who turned up to play football with him, who'd all just got in from nightclubbing, couldn't believe that I asked him to put the nets up, and then basically came onto the pitch, scored 2 headers, great goals, and we never saw him again. Where is Ali Dia? Where is Ali Dia?
If anybody knows the whereabouts, anybody knows the whereabouts, just give us a shout.
Felon Tandoori, maybe.
Yeah.
I tell you what, that's giving me a craving. That now.
Stop it!
Just look at this. Just look at the truck outside your window. Little sharp car.
Could be driving it. That's his new job.
When you see the pipe out of the truck, open the window, mate. That'll soon, impact your appetite.
Absolutely not going to happen.
Well, Newcastle are actually causing waves with their signings. And we got to talk about this. Steve did touch on it, but I do want to talk about it because it is breaking kind of news, if you will, that Premier League clubs are being forced to vote because of the only Newcastle United. Thanks, Steve. Clubs
Newcastle's fault. Newcastle's fault.
Clubs are going to vote on temporary ban on loaning players from teams under the same ownership. That's right. Thank you, Newcastle United. Newcastle United have been linked to signing a certain Ruben Neves, former Wolves captain from Saudi Pro League Al Hilal. Now, obviously, that is owned by the same ownership, both teams, and they're trying to look to block it. The clubs aren't happy with you, the Toon Army. The measure would block Newcastle from signing players from clubs owned by the Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund. The clubs will all meet on November the 21st, so they've actually turned it around very, very quickly. And the clubs will vote at a shareholders meeting on the 21st of November to block any temporary ban, to ban any teams from loaning players between their ownerships. Now, The other club that springs to mind here that I think is probably at fault is Nottingham Forest. Now, Nottingham Forest have obviously joint owned, and their owner owns a Greece team, correct me if I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure that they own a Greece team, and there's been a lot of swapping and moving of players there where you saw players being signed for Nottingham Forest but then loaned out directly to the Greek teams, which is shared ownership. But Steve, why are you constantly causing a ruckus in the Premier League with your decisions, right? Why has Ruben Neves, a loan signing, caused such haywire for all the other clubs?
It's all just speculation in the newspapers, man. Newcastle probably aren't even looking at Neves, but it's just it makes a good narrative, doesn't it? By the top six to try, well, the so-called top six who don't exist anymore, trying to blame Newcastle for bending the laws, bending the rules, and ultimately, it needs 14 Premier League teams to vote for this. I think every single Premier League team will look at this, potentially about, they've got to look at it. What happens if this ends up being us, or what happens if we need to do this? Very rare these things go through. I'm not sure this will get passed. I'm really not sure this will get passed at all. But yeah, I mean, look, Newcastle could go to the Saudi League. They could take somebody on loan. There's nothing stopping them doing that at the minute. I just think it's petty. But it'll always get levelled at being at Newcastle, because Newcastle are the Saudi, the team owned by the Saudis, and we're always going to be the ones who get the blame, mate. But we'll wait and see what happens. It's the 24th of November, I think this vote goes through. So but there's a little bit time to wait. It's going to go in. It's going to go ahead prior to the transfer window opening. I guess we'll wait and see. But yeah, I think it's a bit petty, mate. I really do.
It's interesting to say as well, like you said, that it will take 14 of the 20 Premier League clubs to be implemented. So 14 clubs will have to say yes. If they're a sole owner of a certain club, you would think they'd probably lean to yes, because they just want to stop it. But the ban also would only apply to incoming loans. So it'll be affecting Newcastle bringing anyone in, not outgoing. So Newcastle would still be allowed to loan anyone to Al Hilal, for instance, but they just wouldn't be able to bring anyone in. Ted, why are the Toon just constantly messing things up?
Because that's just in their nature. It's all about them.
Said the good Mackham.
It's well, absolutely. I mean, to be honest, this whole thing of like the shared ownership, so owning one club, owning another club, it's not a new thing. No. Newcastle didn't start this in their defence. It was probably Watford, I think, is probably the first one where that really came around. But it stinks a bit. And this whole idea... Why? Because it's money laundering, Dave. It's like
loaning a player from one football club to another is money laundering. Come on.
You're shifting money from one pot to the other.
You're moving a player from one club to another.
But who's paying the wages? There's money changing hands between ownership, going between two different countries. One where it's absolutely tax-free, by the way. Sorry, but nah, if that goes ahead, that wants investigating, and they shouldn't own the club anymore. Close the gates.
Hang on. Look,
sell their assets.
You've got Jim Ratcliffe.
Man City would be looked at as well.
Well, you're looking.
Man City would need to be looked
the
at.
City Group own clubs. Jim Ratcliffe owns clubs. He owns Nice.
Australia.
He owns Lucerne. He's bought into Manchester United now. I really don't see what the issue is. I don't see what the issue is. If these clubs. So if there was player A at Club B and they wanted to loan him to Club C, what is in footballing terms, what is wrong with that, and why should the ownership of any said club impact it?
It doesn't seem to
where's the money going?
Me. I guess if you look at a money standard, if it is something like doing stuff dodgy with the books, then of course it obviously needs to be looked at, like we saw with the derby and the reselling of the stadium and stuff like that. So if there is some money laundering or whatever you want to call it in that, then that's obviously not right. But if it's just purely the fact that that the player can move to there, and if there's a genuine interest in Newcastle going for Ruben Neves, then for me, I don't think anything really stands in the way. But it could open doors up to something that, a bit scarier maybe, and some dodginess there. But what it does allow is it allows Steve Gibson's purchase of Bayern Munich to go through, and Harry Kane will be heading to the Borough come January on loan. which is incredible.
And it'll help
Steve,
you stave off relegation.
Obviously, Steve is going to be owning of Bayern Munich very soon. And look, I hope they allow it because Harry Kane and the likes coming on loan to the Borough. Just to help us out a little bit.
To the bigger club.
They could do well,
to the
Daz,
parent
right?
club.
Harry Kane.
Yeah.
Harry Kane in the Championship.
He'll rip it apart. I was going to say something else there, but I thought I'd best not. Good morning, chaps.
The voice of reason.
Hang on, is it Mario Ballotelli?
Yes.
All right, there we go.
Well done.
Thanks for listening to the show, Daz. Yeah.
Could have WhatsApp in, Daz. Come on, mate.
Yeah, sorry.
Come on.
Sorry.
No, it was good. No, it was Mario Ballotelli, and Ted is unfortunately back on the Christmas card list. Till tomorrow's show, where I'm sure he'll say something in the news headlines, which will get him banned again. But it is. But we had a great show.
I think it's actually my show tomorrow, isn't it?
It is.
I think so.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we got to finish off the week with a Ted.
He'll be slagging off Palmos left, right, and centre.
Yep.
No.
Look out for the radio silence tomorrow.
You're an animal. You're an absolute animal.
Hang on, who was the one who's taking photographs of trucks emptying septic tanks?
Everyone's got to have a hobby.
I set the scene beautifully this morning. I was talking about that delightful sight in the sky of the conjunction of Venus and the moon. It was a beautiful picture I painted in everybody's mind. And then, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Into our minds comes a septic tank truck sucker.
Yeah.
Have a look at this thing.
I'm the only normal one on this panel.
That's why it's the Steve show, mate. That's why. Steve's name always first. The normal one of us.
I can't even play it. I don't even know which jingle's got who's on first now, so I can't even. I'll tell you what, it is. We've definitely got the Steve show jingle. That's absolutely certain.
Wake up with the three legends. Steve, and Steve. On the North East Footy Breakfast.
There it is.
Cheers, lads.
The tune and the cat.
I thought my phone was.
One of the three.
I thought my phone was ringing there because that's my ringtone.
Well, we get to talk football tomorrow, lads, on the Friday show. We get to look at the games on the weekend.
Make a change.
That's
Big
Friday
games.
already?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Hey, don't
Friday's
put words
here.
in my mouth. We might have something different for you, but yes,
we're not going to talk about
Of course,
football.
we'll cover the fixtures, but I might just have a couple of games for you to play as well, right? Just a little teaser for you there.
Is it Mario Ballotelli?
He's ruined it.
As long as he's got to keep his clothes on, Ted, please don't go anywhere down those sort of lines. Thank God it's radio.
He was in leather pants earlier. All types of images in my head.
Oh, fellas, I think we've disturbed the North East enough for the past 2 hours. We're all done and dusted. Let's catch you tomorrow.
Take care, lads.
Have a
good one.
fantastic day.
Have a good one. See you, Daz. Have a good one, mate.
Cheers.
Have a good show, Daz.
Thank you.
Put on my blue suede shoes and I boarded the plane. Touchdown